Hi YouTube! Welcome back to another video. Today we're gonna be watching The Art of the Duel from Ordinary Things. I don't know the channel. I think I know this guy. At the face at least. I don't know if that's the guy from the channel or if that's a reaction image, but I'm sure I've seen this face before. Couldn't tell you where, so we'll see. But if you want to help out the channel, please click like, please click subscribe, and leave a comment. That always helps us out. So, without further ado, let's just jump into it and see what this video is about. Oh. Oh, hi. Hi. How's it going?
If you are watching this video, you have either grossly transgressed the bounds of decorum with your ungentlemanly folly, or you have received an insult of such scandalous magnitude that it can only be rectified with the polite exchange of leaden ball.
Yes,
now,
quite.
If you are to walk away from
my
the field
honor
of
shall
glory
never be
with
the
your
same,
life, and more
unless I
importantly, with your
kill
honor
this
unsullied,
deviant.
I advise that you follow this guide and peruse its accompanied history.
Okay.
For ignorance is a more effective execution.
Great camera work, by the way.
Without any further interminable prologue, this is the art of the duel.
Oh no! Did he actually get hit or not? I mean, honestly, this is something that genuinely happened throughout quite a long period of history, but I generally don't think about this. Oh, this is great inspiration for like fantasy D&D stuff. Sorry, I'm kind of going off, but yeah, there's a whole like a rule book to follow, kind of. Like there are proper ways to duel people, and I don't know, I never thought of it really. Oh, interesting. Okay. Let's see.
Now, if you are not of high birth, you may find it queer that shooting chunks off each other at an agreed time and distance was ever considered honourable. And during the practice's primitive years, men of quality would have agreed with you. Not because it involved the possibility of socially sanctioned murder, but because flintlock pistols were considered a vulgar instrument to do the murdering with.
Oh.
Gentlemen were expected to settle their disputes of honour by
duel
crossing
with a
small
sword.
swords. It might seem counterintuitive, but this bloody ritual
Blink,
was actually
blinks.
an organised alternative to prevent further bloodshed. Which is why it was so dishonourable to refuse a duel if one was proposed of you, as you were inviting the possibility of a longer-term feud. So these pre-planned
interesting.
stabbings seldom ended in fatality. More often, satisfaction was reached with the drawing of first blood.
It's the whole thing of just kill each other and be done with it, instead of like getting a blood feud for generations, and that turns out that like you bring other people in the middle of it, and then there's fighting on the streets at some point because people can't hold their what's the fucking word for it? Yeah, people can't just stay put when they see the other family. Interesting. Okay. In a more violent society, that genuinely makes a lot of sense. It's interesting,
So embarrassing matters could be settled in privacy without the involvement of the king's court, which rarely offers reliable remedy anyway.
There's a whole politics side as well.
But then, on the morning of May 9th,
a lot of things that I didn't consider.
The art of the duel was forever altered with one thunderous exchange.
The dawn of the duel. So when did they introduce pistols?
Colonel Richard Thornhill and Sir
guns in
Cholmondeley
general
Deering had permitted their passions to overmaster their reason. The men found themselves inebriated, and in the midst of such a violent brawl that they damaged the very wainscoting of the public house. And in a manner not befitting a man of his station, Sir Cholmondeley trampled upon Thornhill, resulting in the loss of several of the good man's teeth.
Oh.
Though Sir Cholmondeley quickly offered a verbal apology,
that's a grudge.
The Colonel deemed such a meagre concession a hollow salve for so profound an indignity. On the morrow, Colonel Thornhill dispatched a letter to his adversary detailing the terms of their duel. As stipulated in the letter, the men met in the morning.
Sorry, I want to read that. The duel is, or footnote 1, the duel is famously recorded by Jonathan Swift in letter 22 of his posthumously published A Journal to Stella, a collection of 65 letters the writer sent to his secret wife. Okay.
Presents were served
I
at
guess.
Thornhill's lodging. Tea was offered, but Sir Cholmondeley instead requested a small beer. The men then shared a coach journey, sitting side by side to the scene of their final confrontation.
Interesting.
The conduct of these men was remarkable.
That is very polite, I guess. I mean, in a sense. They could have come to blows. They didn't. I mean, then again, you know we're about to kill each other, pretty much. So, yeah, just hold on for a minute. You don't need to, like, come to blows immediately. Just wait, like, half an hour. You're gonna get to shoot the other guy anyways.
Remarkably civil. But the established etiquette of the pistol
Civil.
had yet
That's
to
the
be
word for it.
conceived.
Not
There
polite.
was no signal of a dropped kerchief, nor an agreed distance. The men simply advanced from their stations and discharged their pieces at will. Most encounters hereafter were conducted at a distance of 10 or 12 paces. Cholmondeley and Thornhill stood 4 yards asunder, leaving little possibility for error, nor any hope of grace.
Yeah, it really is just. This is gonna happen here now. One of us is gonna die.
The colonel remained unscathed, while Cholmondeley was mortally pierced through the body. As his life's blood ebbed away, he did, with his final breath,
Oh, seven
profess
boys.
his forgiveness for Thornhill. Though Thornhill later stood trial for murder, the jury returned a verdict only of manslaughter. He was restored to his liberty a mere 3 months thereafter.
Wait. Sorry. According to Jonathan Swift, Thornhill was murdered. Was murdered himself just a few months after his release by 2 men who allegedly invoked Dering's name as they killed him. Okay, I mean, allegedly, so not fully confirmed, but interesting. Yeah, the thing is, despite it being a duel, he was tried for manslaughter, or judged for manslaughter. Supposedly murder, but then manslaughter. Whatever. I generally don't fully understand the difference, but I guess. I know there is a difference. I just don't really know how to differentiate the two of them. Anyways, but it is interesting that they agreed it was a duel. They behaved as if it were a duel, but I guess on the eyes of society, because it wasn't a duel with swords. It didn't count as a duel, so the grudge was still on. Maybe. Interesting. Like, it was literally just murder out of, like, hatred and anger. Huh. Curious. I mean, it was, as far as I understood, the first flintlock duel, or non-sword duel. Well, recorded, at the very least. Huh, interesting.
The law whispered leniency, polite society looked upon the colonel and the late gentleman's spectacle with a mix of shock and abhorrence.
To exchange fire when the steel of a gentleman's small sword lay ready at his thigh, appalling!
Yeah.
The pistol was seen as a mechanic's weapon, an unworthy instrument for this contest of honour. Yet the novelty of the case and the otherwise splendid civility of the coach-sharing combatants seized the public's imagination. They became the talk of every coffee house and broadsheet in the kingdom.
So it wasn't really sanctioned? I don't think duels really were, but you know what I mean? Like, there weren't really any social rules about it, and it was seen as, how to put it, a low caste way to handle things. The pistol, I mean. But due to the fact that they actually behaved like proper nobles during it and prior to the duel itself, it really drew attention of the high society. Interesting. Huh. This is so cool. Sorry, this is a part of history as I said, I never really considered. I know it has been a part of society for a very long while, but this is so cool. Yeah. I want to see more of it.
And in the following decades, the logic of the pistol became harder to ignore. A master of the blade, practiced in every feint and thrust, might bully the uninitiated with impunity and be certain of his own satisfaction. But the pistol, that blind arbiter, levelled all distinction. It permitted the bold to confront the skillful on an equal footing.
Yes, that is true. Ad break.
Modern shaving is a drag. The pathetic plastic disposables of your age have cruelly conditioned the masses into believing that a heavy hand produces a smoother result. The average name brand razor is a weak twig that flexes the moment it makes contact with the whiskers. As a result,
that's a nice diagram. You're so messy, brother. Clean yourself.
To mask the irritation of a flexing blade, miserly merchants
that is not how a proper noble should behave. Should present himself.
The failure of a poor first pass. Mark then the arrival of this advertisement's patron.
It gets even worse.
A tool fashioned not for mere barbers, but by the masters of the aerial sciences.
Oh, that is a very pretty blade, actually.
To achieve tolerances of 0.0002 inches, they have wrought a cartridge that supports the steel so firmly it is physically incapable of tremor, returning to the root of design, stability over compensation. The Henson banishes the need for multiple scrapers and airy lathers. The logical product for any gentleman who prefers the elegance of geometry over
then you screw it.
crap.
Oh, interesting.
Should you wish to experience a truly engineered travel for
this is not for me. I do have a beard. It's really not. It's really not that much. It's really not that big. It's fine.
If you add a century pack of blades to your
but it is a very pretty product. I kind of want it mostly as a decoration, unironically.
High quality shaves to last you a long year.
Okay, back to the jewels. How to Duel, a gentleman's guide in 10 parts. Okay. Starting with the insult.
One must consider the original affront that has provoked the duel. It might regard the honour of a lady, a failure to settle a debt, or simply a frustration of fenestration. In 1790,
fenestration?
Met
what is that?
The duel after an argument over whether a window in a public house should remain open or closed.
For real?
Playhouse in 1794.
Were they really that petty? I mean, we sometimes hear story. There is the age-old story of the petty noble that can't take a single slight. But like, were they actually that petty?
A fellow neglectfully failed to remove his...
But I suppose I say noble, but I guess the story, the cliche story is the noble, but I guess, especially given the flintlock is supposed to be like the poor man, the common man's weapon, I guess. It's not really only noble stuff.
Hat during the singing of
a
God
gentleman, sorry.
When
it's not really noble, but a gentleman's
could only be settled
way of handling slights.
And in 1795, 2 officers of the King's service found themselves at points over nothing more substantial than the correct method of carving a leg of mutton.
For real?
Now, you may perhaps...
I mean, honestly, is this the civilized society that people really talk about? Like, for real? Come on, man.
Find it beneath a man of station to risk his life over such tiny trifles. But any act that invites ridicule or casts a shadow upon your standing as a gentleman is fair grounds for a duel. Now, if you are truly set on your fracas reaching the field, simply strike your would-be opponent with a horsewhip or riding crop. Even the slightest stroke will suffice, as a true gentleman would rather face a bullet than endure the whistling sting of leather.
And why is that? Like, it's probably it's probably oh, sorry, it's probably symbolical, right? Like, you're being compared to a work beast, is what I would think. I could be wrong, but I don't know. It kind of makes sense. I mean, it doesn't really, but putting myself in that situation, I guess I could see it that way.
Being on the receiving end of a riding crop was a symbolic assertion that you were of lower rank, akin to an animal, a slave.
Okay.
There is only a single
It is precisely that.
non-negotiable stipulation
Sure.
when it comes to the offence. Not of content, but of timing. You must permit at least the passing of one night before meeting on the field. An engagement started in the heat of the moment will not be seen as a matter of honour, but a mere affray of passion. Should you slay your man without delay, society and the courts will view the act as nothing more than common murder. Yes, only in the case of dueling is it preferable to have evidence of premeditation, which is why it is better to deliver your demand for a duel in writing.
I suppose. I mean, it does paint a more agreed on scene, right? Instead of just instead of a bar brawl is more of a I'm trying to find a comparison. But we don't really agree on killing each other nowadays. Well, I say that, but like declarations of war are kind of like that, right? I'm not gonna go there. What about the cartel?
When drafting your summons to the field, or your cartel of defiance as it is also known, you must exercise great precision. One must appoint the time and location for the encounter. Dawn or dusk is customary, as the half-light can shield your actions from the prying eyes of any onlookers.
Fair.
If you are in the countryside, then either the grounds of an estate or a private wooded area will suffice. If you are in London, where most recorded British duels took place, then one of the city's parks will be a fine setting.
It's one of those cases, this was probably a lot more widespread than we know. But since it was recorded mostly around London, like, that's where the idea of, oh, a place where people only duel, or people in London are so uncivilized, or, well, kind of equivalent. But like, it was probably a lot more widespread, but it's where the educated people who could write were in that time period. So that's what I think at the very least.
Putney Heath
Makes sense.
and Hyde Park remain the most celebrated choices among the capital's verdant greens. Partly because they were vast enough to ensure privacy, but also due to their proximity to reputable establishments for refreshment. The two duels
That's opium, isn't it?
in the public imagination most were those involving Mr.
Yeah, why not? We just like a dude talks shit about you on a bar, on a pub. Sorry, let's be geographically appropriate here. The guy slights you in a pub, and you get into a fisticuffs, but not quite. You just put your finger on his face and tell him you just wait for tomorrow, and then you send him a letter during the night, telling him to go to the park. You go there, you duel each other, you prepare your guns, you shoot at each other. Then, when you're done with him, you just go to an opium house and just whittle the evening away. What a good life. Not really. I mean, time appropriate, I suppose.
Men he had slandered in print. Wilkes was a mouthy member of Parliament who had anonymously disparaged Lord Talbot within the pages of the North Briton. Upon discovering his maligner's identity, Lord Talbot immediately dispatched his challenge, including the time, date, and dining options for their deadly encounter. The pair broke their fast at the Red Lion Inn before exchanging fire in Bagshot, Surrey. Both men walked away unscathed and satisfied, somewhat.
How does that work? Is it only one shot? Because can you? How does a duel end if both are unscathed? I mean, I suppose they were both satisfied with the result, so I guess there's no issue there. But how does that work? Is it just a matter of agreement, or like, yeah, you only have one shot. You better make it worth it. I don't know.
Reconciled, they retired to another nearby inn where they shared a bottle of claret. While the duel cannot
why not?
occur in the moments immediately following the inciting incident, there is technically no time limit on how long a grievance might be held. Some even saw the holding of a long-term grudge over a petty incident to be a sign of high honour. That mouthy member of...
Hold on. No. I need to hear that again. I think I heard it right. Oh, sorry. That's not right. I think I heard it right. But it doesn't make sense.
Term grudge over how
Hold on.
long a grievance might be held.
Yeah.
Some even saw the holding of a long-term grudge over a petty incident to be a sign of high honor.
So, if I hold a grudge, like if I'm so petty that I hold a grudge for years and years and decades over like the minor slight, it means I have high honor. I mean, values really have changed through the times, but holy, this is not what I expected.
That mouthy Member of Parliament, Mr. John Wilkes, would find himself in yet another duel just a matter of months after the first. Another MP also took offence to the way Wilkes had characterised him in print. Mr. Samuel Martin stewed on the insult for 8 months and then challenged Wilkes to meet him for a duel in Hyde Park.
Okay.
This time, Wilkes was shot as the bullet ricocheted off his waistcoat buttons and drove down into his groin. In true gentlemanly fashion, Wilkes took his wounding in good spirit and told Martin to run, and that if he did survive, he wouldn't seek further justice.
Poor guy. That's the worst way to go. It's not even lethal. But you lost... I'm not gonna say it. I mean, I could say it. It's just... You lost all that is worth living.
But Wilkes did survive when the bullet was extracted, and the whole affair only improved his standing in society.
Oh.
When he returned to Parliament, he had the reputation
Win-win.
of a brave
Kind
and
of.
honourable
Not really.
man.
Like seconds.
Upon acceptance of a challenge, both men must nominate a seconds, discreet and trusted associates who will act as overseers for the encounter.
Aha,
They
I
also
see.
have the responsibility of procuring the irons, the
Okay.
pistols, and only the finest pieces from the best gun makers in the Empire shall suffice. Robert Wogden was the man who first established the dueling pistol as a distinct
Oh.
species of firearm.
Oh, they are quite pretty, aren't they? That's so cool.
He pioneered the practice of producing matching pairs, identical in every particular,
Oh.
and wrought only for the purpose of
That's a
shooting
nice
each other
idea.
simultaneously. These weapons were delivered in a fitted mahogany case where they were meant to lie dormant until the moment that they were needed. Wogden's weapons became so synonymous with dueling that a Wogden affair became another word for a duel. To Wogdenize someone meant to challenge them. Other gunsmiths like Joseph Hampton and
Wogdenize.
James Purdy competed for the title of London's premier craftsman, but none of them would ever eclipse Wogden in fame, because his irons were used in the most consequential duel in world history. Sitting Vice President of the United States, Aaron Burr, and founding father and Federalist Party grandee Alexander Hamilton settled their dispute with a pair of Wogdens in 1804.
Okay.
Hamilton received a ball in the abdomen and, after great agony, yielded his soul the following afternoon.
Oh.
The consequences of this duel were enormous.
I mean,
the founding
yeah.
father was slain, and the Federalist Party that he represented fell alongside him. A continent's political destiny was forever altered, and 'twas a Wogden what done it. It's worth noting that dueling pistols bleed you dry long before you fire them.
See, that's the thing. Duels like are constant throughout history, or at the very least, semi-recent history. But I really don't have any information on that. Like, it's not in my cultural background, right? So yeah, this is very interesting. It's something I never knew. Like, a Londoner probably has heard stories about, oh, here is where some guy shot that guy. And like, I don't know, we don't have these stories here. Oh, we could have. Oh, well, we do have kind of those, but it's usually stories about machetes. So yeah, not really dueling, is it?
A proper pair costs close to 60 guineas, equivalent to the annual salary of a parish schoolmaster or master artisan. This serves as a barrier to entry, ensuring that proper dueling etiquette can only be achieved by men of means.
Yeah.
If neither you nor your seconds owns a set or know another gentleman who does, you are compelled to secure a pair by hire, placing a hefty deposit for their temporary use. For this, one may rightly conclude that many encounters of honour, perhaps indeed the greater part of them, were never conducted.
You can just live as a renter of guns, kind of. Like, you have your dueling guns, And if people need them, they hire you or they rent from you. Interesting. Ah.
With pistols specifically intended for their purpose.
The law.
Now, was all this strictly legal? Absolutely not.
Oh.
Dueling was never legal in Britain, or
Interesting.
France, or anywhere else.
I would have thought so.
If you killed someone in a duel, you were still likely to be arrested. But property-owning men in high society were sympathetic to those caught in the thrall of honour culture. And they also happened to be the only strata of society who could legally serve in a jury. To them, denying another man's request for a duel was an act of extreme cowardice. And they were often military men, accustomed to solving their problems with violence.
Yeah.
Running from a duel
Makes
meant
sense.
suffering such public shame that the risk of being dead was legitimately preferable in some regard. So when duellers were charged, they were rarely found guilty, and when they were, sentencing was lenient, provided, of course, that proper dueling etiquette was followed.
True. You can't just murder someone in the streets. You gotta wait for the next day. Then it's fine.
In 1803, Lieutenant Montgomery's dog got into a scrap with a dog belonging to Captain McNamara. When Montgomery threatened to knock McNamara's dog down, the offended owner declared that he would have to be knocked down first. They duelled that same evening at sunset on Primrose Hill.
Also, I don't think this is ye old London
Hill.
or whatever this is.
Montgomery was hit in the chest and died soon after. But this was McNamara's third or possibly fourth duel, but the first ending in the death of his fellow dueler. He was taken to court and charged with manslaughter.
So he's a serial jeweler, but apparently not a serial murderer. Not yet, at the very least. Let's see where the story goes. I'm stopping the video constantly. I'm sorry.
The judge was against dueling and tried his hardest to push for a conviction, telling the jury that they weren't there to judge if the defendant was justified. They were only there to decide whether McNamara had indeed killed Montgomery, which he unequivocally admitted to doing during the course of the trial. But the jury sides the judge, returning a verdict of not guilty after just 20 minutes of deliberation.
Okay,
However,
so society
juries are only
really
so
had
lenient
like...
when they consider the duel to be honourable.
Yeah, sorry, society really had decided already whether dueling was legal or not. It's only the actual, like, laws, the constitution that was trying to debate it. Okay, I see.
Fought. In 1808, Major Alexander Campbell and Captain Alexander Boyd got into a heated argument over dinner. Major Campbell demanded satisfaction immediately. There was no formal cartel or seconds present when the two men adjourned to an adjoining room and shot each other across the...
But that's not proper dueling etiquette. That's not a duel. That's murder. We've been through that.
The furniture.
Come on.
Oh, bloody hell.
Captain Boyd was fatally wounded in the exchange. As witnesses gathered from the dining room, Boyd used his last breath to chastise Campbell for hurrying the duel without friends present. The duel was conducted without equal weapons, indoors, and at a minuscule distance with no seconds present, and in the immediate aftermath,
everything was off.
The incident. A thorough failure in dueling etiquette.
Yes.
As a result, Major Campbell was convicted of cold-blooded murder and subsequently hanged.
Bollocks.
So to avoid legal ramifications
Serves him
for your
right.
still completely illegal duel, you must trust your seconds to ensure etiquette is followed to the letter.
Staging your duel. Okay.
The seconds must load the pistols in front of one another and in full view of the duellers, who must then take their arms and their ultimate positions.
Okay.
10
12, paces.
or even 15 paces between participants is customary. Any less, and you are not only in greater paces between 10, 12, or even 15 paces between
so between 10 and 15 paces. Okay.
Participants is customary.
Sorry, I'm studying it like I'm gonna do that. I'm not, by the way.
Any less, and you are not only in greater danger of being dead, but you are also more likely to be convicted for willful murder. More crucially is the question of how fire will be exchanged. Firing by turn was more common in the early days of pistol dueling. This was where participants would indeed take turns shooting each other.
This is awful! What do you mean, taking turns? You're just prolonging the pain. And honestly, the guy who starts genuinely has such an advantage.
Coin toss is preferred, although some dueling guides suggest that whoever instigated the duel should have the privilege. But a rather sticky disadvantage of firing by turn is that it can result in one participant having to take their shot while already injured.
Yep.
In 1779, the MP for Plympton and the Earl of Shelburne exchanged fire. They fired by turn, with the Right Honourable Gentleman from Plympton having shot first, which resulted in his lordship taking a wound to the groin.
Oh, why is it always the dick? Oh, this is... I don't know, I guess it is a little bit of hindsight, like, but not really, this is just... Why? How did people think this was a fine idea? Like, this is not... whatever.
He was thus forced to take his own shot with some extra shrapnel lodged in his
Oh.
coin. So the Earl...
And I guess flintlocks weren't really, like, known for the precision. But still, like, that's not a fair situation.
elegantly deloped his pistol, indicating that he had acquired satisfaction.
Wait, what?
So the Earl elegantly deloped his pistol, indicating that he had acquired satisfaction.
Okay, so he just... yeah, he decided he was not gonna keep going with, like, shrapnel in his dick. So, yeah, let's be done with it. It's fine. It's what I got from this.
Due to the
Now
inherent
simultaneous
flaw
fire.
in fairness in firing
Okay.
by turn, your humble guide insists that simultaneous release is the preferred option. A man of quality should never discharge his load into the air willy-nilly without the aid of a humble handkerchief. Your seconds should lend his
Ah, shut up, man.
hands in achieving this mutual climax by dropping a handkerchief to signal for fire when the clock hits the ground.
Okay, it was great. Fucking hell. Fucking hell, the innuendos here. Very well done.
A count of 3 or simply shouting "Fire!" will also suffice. Ensuring simultaneous release, though, is crucial, as spending one's load before the handkerchief is in its proper position can be a messy affair.
It truly
Most
can
juries
be.
will see a sufficiently premature eruption as murder.
Stop it! Stop
Can
it!
stay your hand and prevent the early ejaculation of your iron?
Ah, okay.
Perhaps you'd be more comfortable.
Now he's a little
firing
too
by
on the
turn.
nose. Shut up.
Penis. If you have followed this guide to the letter thus far, you are now ready to fire and be fired upon. And in this manner, you have 2 main options. If your aim is to kill or incapacitate your opponent, your best bet is to fire directly at them.
Yeah,
Ideally,
makes sense.
landing your lead somewhere in their face or chest. But if you simply wish to end
You
the
have
duel
to.
amicably,
Yeah.
with both of your bodies and reputations in the same condition as before your disagreement, you can always delope.
Deload.
Deloping is the practice
Deloping.
of deliberately wasting one's shot by firing into the ground or air, demonstrating
Okay.
that you have received satisfaction and wish to duel
Oh, so this is what the other guy did. Okay, I get it.
no longer.
Mm-hmm.
In 1798, a sitting Prime Minister, William Pitt the Younger, found himself in a duel with an opposition MP named George Tierney. Pitt accused the man of obstructing the defence of the country, which he took as a direct assault on his patriotism. They duelled on a balmy Sunday afternoon, 2 days later at Putney Heath. They fired by turn, both missing their targets during the first exchange of fire.
Okay,
A
so
second
they
exchange
actually
was
shot
prepared when
fairly.
Tierney failed
Well,
to hit the
not fairly in the sense of simultaneous fire. But actually they shot it at each other. They didn't delope, or whatever it's called.
Prime Minister once again. Pitt then gracefully used his second opportunity to fire by firing into the air, indicating that he had no further intention of taking his opponent's life. But deloping can backfire spectacularly, especially if one is
Yep,
dueling
true.
a Frenchman, who is more likely to take it as a mortifying insult. In Britain, deloping is a
Oh,
gentleman's
I
way of showing he
see.
is above unnecessary violence.
Mm-hmm. One society sees as shooting the air or the ground as, I am done with this. I have said my piece, and I'm fine with whatever result this is. But another society sees that as, you're not worthy of my shot. You're below me. There's nothing you could do that could make us see eye to eye. Oh, interesting.
While still proving that he has sufficient courage to meet you in the field. In France, deloping deprives your opponent of satisfaction and implies that they aren't worthy of your lead. The French are a petty and pompous breed. Those frog-eating papists have been known to duel over seating arrangements at the opera, over the contested aesthetic value of a pug, and even over the proper placement of punctuation in an academic paper. Those wanton syphilitic ghouls would duel their own grandmother.
Truly, the height of civilized society, no?
Others if they were not sufficiently perfumed in Parisian bog water. Unlike in Britain, where dueling is reserved for only the highest matters of honour. For example, over the ownership of lottery numbers that one may or may not have dreamed. Now to the regrettable reality of how best to receive fire, as you must be prepared for the possibility of your imminent penetration by heated ball. Your best course is to stand thusly, with your body turned, giving your opponent a smaller target, and to better protect the integrity of your more vital organs.
Yep.
But if you wish to sacrifice a smidgen more of your gentlemanly dignity to better ensure your survival, then I suggest dueling in the nude.
Oh.
This was what the corpulent Humphrey Howarth did.
Sure, why not?
The rakish Lord Barrymore in 1806. The two men had...
I mean, does it really make any difference? I don't think so, right? It's like, sure, you take off your clothing. Well, I was gonna say, you take off your clothing and, like, you're a smaller target, yeah. But then again, it was gonna hit your clothes. But there was this one guy that the bullet hit his button, was it? And it ricocheted into his nuts. So yeah, I guess it could make a difference.
Had come to blows the previous evening after a night of gambling and heavy drinking gave rise to an accusation of cheating. A challenge was issued and the two men met the following dawn on the green of Brighton Racecourse. After a career as a veteran military surgeon, Howarth was educated to the manner in which the bullet-ridden were usually killed.
Oh.
The initial wound rarely ended one's life. It was the sepsis
infection.
and subsequent infection which forced one to shuffle off this mortal coil. When a low-velocity lead ball enters the body, it would drag pieces of your dirty garments in with it, then acting as a plug for spreading bacteria.
That makes
Knowing
sense.
this, Humphrey disrobed on the field.
Yeah, sorry, I legit forgot that both weapons weren't made to completely perforate you and come out the other side, and that we pretty much didn't have medicine back then. Yeah, just minor details.
And explained his reasoning to Lord Barrymore and to the growing and very amused crowd. Accounts of what happened next differ. Barrymore either left the field in shock or deloped his weapon, ending the event more honourably. Either way, the duel was concluded without the injury or death of either man.
Cool.
So my advice for you would be to strip off in the middle of the field and you'll probably scare your opponent away. That's what I do.
I
Dueling,
suppose.
of course, could only be done by men of true quality. And what I really want to...
Can we just shoot each other now?
Yeah, sure.
And...
What now?
See, this was actually quite a common occurrence.
wet gunpowder?
These weapons were incredibly unreliable.
Yeah,
Well, neither
that
man
would
is struck
suck.
in-
Imagine you go through all this effort, and then the weapon just doesn't work. I suppose it could be the weapon, right? It's not just the gunpowder.
Initial exchange of fire, it is the responsibility of the seconds to attempt a reconciliation, to convince both parties that satisfaction has been reached. But this doesn't always go to plan. If one or more of the combatants has not been satisfied and cannot be talked down, the seconds are obliged to prepare the pistols again for another round of fire. In theory, duelers can demand second, third, or fourth exchange of fire, as many as necessary.
Now, is that more or less honorable? Because we've already seen that the values are pretty much upside down.
Until someone is wounded or killed.
Bye-bye!
At which point the surviving dueler and their seconds can either flee the scene, or indeed the country, or stay put and face the judgment of the courts. The latter being the more honourable option.
This is what's like genuinely wild to me. This was socially acceptable. Right? This was totally socially acceptable. And it was common practice with an asterisk, but still illegal. And people had to flee after a duel. This is so wild. Genuinely.
In 1761, Major Egerton was returning from the theatre with a lady when Colonel Grey accidentally stumbled into him. Egerton called Grey a stupid...
There's no way that's enough. There is no way that's enough to like turn out a duel.
Stupid booby. And naturally, Colonel Grey attempted to address this insult by stabbing...
Yeah, you stupid booby! It sounds like a 5-year-old trying to cuss you out or insult you.
Egerton with his sword. Egerton knocked him down, and Grey challenged him to a duel from the dirt. They met the following morning on Putney Heath, and after a first exchange where neither man was hit, Colonel Grey demanded another. The stupid booby was subsequently killed during the second exchange that he himself had insisted on.
I mean, I guess it's just the Darwin Awards for this guy. Genuinely. And now, the aftermath. This is probably one of the most interesting parts, to me at the very least.
Should your encounter produce a fatal termination, pray accept my gratulations. Satisfaction has been honourably rendered. Fire! If you are the unfortunate corpse, then console yourself with the words of William Thackeray. To love and win is the best thing, to love and lose, the next best. If you, however, find yourself upright in the field of honour, see that your fallen adversary
this
is
feels
given
so
all due respect.
like beyond
He
my
met his
comprehension.
destiny as a gentleman. So any lingering animosity should be buried alongside his mortal remains.
That's fair.
If you do this, and have
like the whole point of it was to avoid further bloodshed, right? Just two people trying to kill each other instead of two entire genealogies decide to like be rid of each other.
Observed every other point of etiquette herein, a jury of your peers shall surely
the question
find
is,
you to be a man of exquisite character.
did that really happen in practice? Because in theory is one thing.
At least that's how it would have worked during the brief window where pistol dueling was a thing.
Oh. So it ended quite quick.
Pretty much all recorded British pistol duels occurred between 1711 and 1845. The golden...
That's okay, so that's some amount of time, sure. But it's more than I expected, genuinely. I thought it was going to be like around 40 years. No, it's 130.
The age of dueling could then be condensed further, about 1785 to 1809. A nearly 25-year duelathon that cooled once the British Army started getting into sustained ground combat during the Napoleonic Wars.
Fair.
Basically, the kind of men who were likely to get into a duel were instead shooting chunks out of each other on the Iberian Peninsula. When these men arrived back on British soil, there was something of a silver age for pistol dueling, which lasted from about 1820 to 1840. And then after that, the practice quickly died off. This happened for a couple of intersecting...
Like, it's a generation tired of violence. still very much severely flawed, but tired of violence, especially with their own kin, right? Their own people.
And interesting reasons. The first of which is that someone invented the police.
Oh,
Most duels
so
happened
no,
in
not
London.
what I thought.
So when the Metropolitan Police was established in 1829, shooting each other in the capital became a lot harder and riskier. The Met would actively patrol London parks and sought to interrupt duellers before they started their little bullet ballet. This made duellers look less like noble warriors and more like naughty little schoolboys. Guns also got a lot gooder in the 1820s.
Truthfully.
In the golden age of dueling, pistols used flintlocks to ignite the gunpowder. While those looked cool, they had about 25% chance of failure, which jumped to 50% when they were used in bad weather.
True.
But then came the percussion cap, a sort of weather-proof ignition system that also increased muzzle velocity and almost never failed. By the 1830s, your gun was going off. Now, common dueling etiquette, even from that time, did demand the use of smooth-bore barrel pistols, explicitly because they were inaccurate. You could stand at 12 paces from each other and reasonably expect both shots to miss. Dueling wasn't meant to be a direct opportunity to kill your opponent. It was supposed to be a risky act that left the judgment up to God or chance. But by the 1830s,
I see. Sorry, that's a misconception then. Like, I thought the idea was to hurt the other guy. Maybe not necessarily end him, but you want to hurt him, and you, like, not only were you willing to hurt, you wanted to hurt, right? That's the point. But apparently not. It's just the risk itself. It's to prove your own honor. Like, no. I am willing to stand here and take a bullet. Kind of. Like, ideally I don't get hit, but hey, I'll try. That's what I'm trying to prove at the very least, right? I don't know. Is that right or no?
Some unscrupulous gun makers began adding scratch rifling. Invisible to casual inspection, but highly effective in stabilizing the bullet. Now, what this meant
so they're
was
cheating
that you
now.
buy a set of dueling pistols, and maybe you only got the scratch rifling
scoundrels.
of your pistol. The same thing could be said for hair trigger pistols. You could get two pairs that had a hair trigger, which meant they went off very easily, even when, say, you were just sort of pointing it at some guy and you were shaking because you were scared. You give that pistol to someone you were about to shoot, their gun goes off, and you get a free stabilized shot at them as a result.
Oh,
that was the idea anyway. This
like proper
often.
cheating.
Recorded very
I
infrequently,
see.
but those pistols existed and people bought them. So with these innovations, shooting each other from a middling distance stopped being a romantic gamble and edged closer to surefire suicide.
Yeah, we should avoid that.
Another common reason given for dueling's decline was the rise of the middle class. In the first half of the 1800s, there were records of lawyers, doctors, and even the little ranks of the military shooting each other in duels too.
That's not proper.
But not in great number. Some historians have argued that this spoiled the sport for the aristocracy. The idea being that sometime around 1820, posh people were watching drunken, toothless cockneys shooting each other outside the pub over similarly petty squabbles, and it kind of, it ruined it for them. And look, this makes intuitive sense that the land-owning jury members who once acquitted shooters of their own class weren't looking so fondly upon the pea-shooting plebs. But actually, evidence seems to suggest it was the middle classes who were really responsible for dueling's decline. The factory owners and merchants of the Victorian era had a different vision of manliness compared to the entitled aristocracy of yesteryear. Respectability to them wasn't inherited, it was earned through hard work, hard cash, and good Protestant ethics. To them,
that does check out.
And also, life was a gift from the Almighty. To throw it away over some petty squabble was just unchristian.
So this is when our values of... Oh, I was going to say manliness, but not really, because that was also pretty scuffed back then. But our values of life in general, and what is an insult, and what it means to have honor, strictly. Yeah.
The middle classes also controlled much of the satirical press, with magazines like Punch portraying duellers as pathetic, preening peacocks. So it wasn't that the upper classes abandoned dueling because it became common, it was that commoners...
What is this supposed to mean? Look at that. there's like this skinny guy, and then like a crab claw person. What is that?
Powered themselves with money and the press, and eventually shamed aristocrats into behaving themselves.
Fair, if it works. Why not? That's a pretty place. Ooh-wee.
By 1840, the British pistol duel had almost dwindled into irrelevance. A series of high-profile duels between high-ranking politicians and aristocratic members of the military had scandalized the country, making the practice look shameful and stupid. Then, in 1845, the last lethal duel between Englishmen took place here, on the shores of Stokes Bay on the south coast. On the 20th of May,
The last
Henry
recorded
Hawkey
duel.
and James Alexander Seton settled their differences on the shingle. The previous evening, Seton had danced with Hawkey's wife at a naval ball and allegedly made some inappropriate advances.
Oh, that
Hawkey called Seton
scoundrel.
a scoundrel and ordered him to leave the ball. Seton demanded an apology, but Hawkey refused.
Took the words right out of my
The following
mouth.
morning, Seton had a formal cartel delivered to his opponent's quarters. Hawkey spent the rest of the day in preparation. He acquired a pair of hair-trigger pistols himself and practiced at a nearby shooting gallery.
Oh, they had shooting
With
galleries.
seconds
Oh, I
present,
guess
the
it
men
makes
exchanged
sense.
fire in a bloodless first round. Seton missed his target, while Hawkey's pistol had failed to fire. By this time, Hawkey was furious. He had suffered a public indignity and had seemingly wasted his money on a malfunctioning pistol. But the pistols were prepared for a second round. This time, Seton fired and missed again, while Hawkey paused, took deliberate aim, and struck Seton in the hip. He
Wow.
collapsed in the shingle.
So yeah, my man was angry. Because again, as I've learned, that was not the goal of it. Like, sure, you technically can. Well, with many quotation marks. But the idea was to, at best, injure. Or sorry, at worst, injure. Theoretically, your opponent. So the fact that he deliberately aimed for the head, well, that man had no honor.
Crying out in agony as the bullet had shattered his pelvic bone.
What?
Hawkey showed little remorse and later fled to France.
Wait. Didn't he aim for the head? Hold on.
Paused, took deliberate aim, and struck Seton in the hip.
Oh, the hip. Sorry. Hip, not head. Oh, accents. I'm sorry. I misunderstood it.
He collapsed in the shingle, crying out in agony as the bullet had shattered his pelvic bone. Hawkey showed little remorse and later fled to France. Seton was taken to Quebec House in Portsmouth, where he remained for 2 weeks as the bullet had also grazed a major artery.
This is so cool, by the way. Sorry. The juxtaposition of the painting with the real place. This is so cool. Genuinely. Look at this.
Trauma had caused a pseudoaneurysm, a pulsating sac of blood that eventually grew to the size of an apple.
Oh.
Surgeons attempted to save the man's life by cutting it from his body, but this only introduced bacteria into the cavity. Seton died from the infection. But ironically, this botched surgical intervention ended up saving Henry Hawkey's life instead.
What do you
He was
mean?
tried for murder on his return to England, but the surgery provided a convenient legal excuse for the jury to acquit him.
So he didn't technically murder the guy. He just jeweled him. But it was a surgery that killed him. Oh, I see.
As they saw him as
Legal
a
loopholes
dishonored
even back then.
So even in its final fatal instance, a jury was sympathetic to the last lethal dueler, who was applauded on leaving the courtroom. Meanwhile, James Alexander Seton was similarly celebrated, due to his family status in the local community and the high-profile nature of the duel. Shops were closed and people paid their respect as his body was transported to his hometown of Fordingbridge.
Okay.
Today,
Wow.
he lies here, in a lonely, untended chest tomb, which is where his story and the history of the British duel itself comes to an ignoble end.
Well, that's an unexpected ending, but I guess it makes sense, right? Because it was a very common practice, and it just started dwindling and became more and more obsolete. But not only obsolete and less practiced, it was like ridiculed. So it makes sense that in society's eyes, the last jeweler was just a buffoon, someone who doesn't really deserve respect. Sure, the family made something nice for him, but I suppose even the family probably wasn't too happy with the idea, huh? This is very interesting. Okay, I really enjoyed that. Cool. So yeah, this was The Art of the Duel by Ordinary Things. Wow. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please click like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Ta-ra! Bye-bye! Mwah!